So we're moving into our final panel and conversation this evening, and we're looking at what it takes when we talk about love, what it takes to create a society that is safe, secure, and sustainable for all Jamaicans. And we have joining us 3 senators. So we'll begin to the left with Senator Gabriella Morris, who is coming to us also as a candidate in the next general election. In fact, 2 of our senators here today are going to be running in the elections. And we also have Senator Peter Bunting and Senator Sophia Fraser-Bin. So I'll start with Gabriella. What do young people need, or what will a future PNP government do to make sure that Jamaica is where our young people want to live because they are guaranteed a better life here and not somewhere else in the world?
Thank you, Crystal, and let me say good evening to everyone, especially our next Prime Minister of Jamaica, Comrade Mark Jefferson Golding. Crystal, I think we have to start off by acknowledging that our youth are not just the future, but they are the here and now. And the PNP acknowledges that our young people are facing significant challenges when it comes to access to opportunities, when we look at affordable housing, access to housing, when we look at educational outcomes. We recognize that our young people are indeed bearing much of the burden in this country. And so as a government, the PNP is committed to putting young people at the fore. The party has already started, and I believe that we must commend our leader for giving young people a platform to share in decision-making, to share in policy development. And the Junior Shadow Cabinet, which we established, I think is evidence of that. We have taken an approach as a party that focuses on 4 key areas of youth development, education and training being the first. And one of the things we're committed to doing is reforming our curriculum in this country, because we know that we have to prepare young people for the world ahead and for the jobs that will take precedence in the modern world. And so the PNP will be focusing on reforming the curriculum to include subjects such as climate science, looking at artificial intelligence, because we believe that we must equip our young people with these skills so they can compete not just locally, but internationally. One of the things that we have also looked at and committed to doing is the reforming of heart. We want to ensure that in every parish, we have institutions that are geared to providing the skills that our young people need. And so we will be expanding the capacity of heart to offer more training programs to our young people. Another area of focus that falls under our education sector is that we want to look at digital literacy, because we know that we are in a technological age, and our young people, in competing and being equipped, we must train them with those skills. And so we will be focusing on a national digital literacy program, which will cater to 25,000 young people, and we aim to reach that target by 2029. We're also looking at a critical area of focus, which is job creation, entrepreneurship. And we recognize that there has been much buzz about record low rates. But one of the challenges that persist, especially for young people, is that while jobs might be available, these jobs are highly unstable and they also offer low wages. Our young people don't want to stay in a country where they have to be fighting to survive, fighting to make ends meet. And so one of the things that we are committed to doing as the next government is focusing on our entrepreneurs, because we want to encourage young people to not just be consumers, but producers, to create, to build, to develop. And so we will be implementing a national youth innovative fund, which will offer $1 billion and will be replenished annually, and that will focusing on supporting our young people who want to build businesses, who want to have startups, who are focusing especially on areas of technology, the creative industry. And we believe that this is a transformational program that will empower young people to build something for themselves. In terms of job creation as well, we are committed to providing 20,000 new jobs, especially in the area of tourism. We're looking at agriculture as well as the creative industry. And I want to move, Crystal, to the third pillar, which we have discussed earlier. It focuses on creative expression, culture, and sport. We know that our young people are incredibly gifted. Incredibly gifted. However, they need the support to develop their craft, to market their craft, and to earn from their craft. And so one of the things that we will do, in addition to our $1 billion creative fund, is set up a fund that will be used to build industry hubs and will be used to have creative spaces where persons can produce content and also earn from content. Another thing that we believe is critical to developing our youth is the development of spaces for them to meet. And so we know that in a lot of communities, while they're community centers, a lot of them have been locked up, they're engulfed by weeds. And so we want to revitalize our communities for our young people. And so the People's National Party is committed to building 200 community centers across this island. So I know from my constituency of Northwest St. Anne, the people will be excited. And indeed, for other constituencies, both urban and rural, they will be looking forward to an initiative like this, because we know that our young people need these spaces as well for community engagement, for sport, for homework helper centers. And that is our promise to the Jamaican people, that our young people will have spaces to grow, learn, thrive, and to entertain themselves as well. I want to go to the final point, Crystal, which focuses on an area that we sometimes don't place enough emphasis on. It is mental health care and protection of our people. And I want to commend the party for listening, because I remember about 3 years ago, we had a forum at the University of the West Indies. And this is one of the areas that young people constantly advocated for us to pay more attention to. And so we, as the People's Party, we have ensured that we have included this incredible need for support in our manifesto, and we will be prioritizing support for not just youth, but our people who need mental health care and support. Another thing that we want to focus on when it comes to our youth and the care of our youth as well is looking at initiatives that will prioritize at-risk youth. And we want to ensure that we have at least 20 centers that will be identified as spaces for intervention when it comes to at-risk youth. This is our commitment to ensure that our young people are engaged, are given alternatives, and are not led down the wrong path. So we are giving them a chance at transformation, and this is what the PNP has to offer. The final thing that I want to mention, and I know that it will go into what Senator Bunting will talk about, it has to do with the Peace Management Initiative. We hope and we are committed to ensuring that we expand the Peace Management Initiative to focus on our young people and to give them opportunities for mentorship and development and guidance that will deter them from any possibility of entering a life of crime. So, Crystal, I just want to close by saying that young people are not just a voting bloc when it comes to election time. We are real people who have real challenges. And I am happy to be a part of a party who recognizes that in order to build our future, we need to empower our young people. We need to support our young people so that they can truly see Jamaica as a place where they can really work, live, raise families, and do business. And that is our commitment.
Thank you so much, Senator Gabriella Morris. If that is not a credible and diverse suite of solutions for the myriad issues that young people face, I don't know what is. And it is testament to the fact that when the PNP brings young people to the front, we bring them bright, aware, and ready to lead. Northwest St. Anne has a true champion on their side. A lovely point to segue now into hearing about what it will take to secure the nation. We know from the statistics that those most involved in and harmed by violent crime are our young people. So, Senator, you can take it from any angle, but we do want to hear how we will better secure Jamaica, but not just our young people, but Jamaicans at large.
Thank you. There's a fundamental difference in the approach of the People's National Party to the existing administration. If I were to characterize the difference, I would say it's the militarization or the warrior mentality of the security forces that this government promotes versus the guardian mentality that the PNP promotes. So with a warrior mentality, our security forces go out to fight crime and enforce the law. With a guardian mentality, our security forces go out every day to uphold the human rights of our citizens. So we don't look on young people as just as potential recruits to gangs, and if they go off the rails, then we need to come down on them hard, longer prison sentences, etc. We want to give them opportunities that will divert them away from a life of crime. And most of my colleagues have given a shout out to the next Prime Minister. But I want to give a shout out to the former Minister of Justice, Mark Jefferson Golding. Because he made some transformative laws. Actually, they were more about social engineering than fighting crime. For example, the decriminalization of ganja for personal use, and the automatic expungement of previous criminal records. That moved tens of thousands of young Jamaicans, mostly men, from the margins of the economy and allow them now to get farm work card, to get visa, to be able to work in many financial institutions, etc. So our approach is not all about fighting crime, as important as that is. But in terms of sustainability, we're more interested in crime prevention, creating opportunities for our young people, investing in our communities, building our schools, ensuring that there are employment and training opportunities that are as attractive or more attractive than a life of crime. So this is really the fundamental difference in our approaches. And when you talk about the future, it can't be about a police force that's primarily into militarization and occupying force in our communities. We want safe communities, but we want them built on a foundation of trust between the citizens and the security forces. They will be partners in building Jamaica in terms of our human development, in terms of our infrastructure development, and in terms of the social transformation of many of these communities which are generating most of the violent crime today.
Thank you very much, Senator Bunting. And now we are inviting Senator Fraser to join the conversation. We're talking a lot about the future being with young people. But what will be the future of the world that they live in? We face severe degradation of natural resources. We're looking at unsustainable practices locally but also globally that affect the quality of life here on Earth for all of us. And as a small island developing state, Jamaica has to look critically at how we are managing our own natural resources, which will end up being inheritances for those to come. What are some of the big shifts that need to happen at a government level for us locally to preserve, protect, and extend this inheritance?
Thank you so much for that question, Crystal, and good evening, everyone. And let me say good evening to our incoming Prime Minister, and also to applaud him, because the issue of the environment is really not something that you hear people talk about every day. But under the leadership of Mark Jefferson Golden, the environment has taken center place, because he recognizes that we cannot have a conversation about education if our schools are hot, the children can't learn. He understands that commodores can't talk about health if we do not understand how climate change affects health. He understands that Mikhail can't want a good transport system if we don't understand how climate change will impact our roads. And Julian cannot speak about a stable economy until we understand how climate change and the destruction of the environment impacts the economy. And so for us in the People's National Party, we believe that we can have the development of the economy and the preservation of the environment. And to that extent, we also know that there are certain things that must be led by the government, starting with how we as government will operate. And because of that, we are committed to ensuring that every single ministry, agency, and department has what we call an environment impact assessment on any project that we are going to undertake. Too often we see government agencies going out and cutting down trees and building roads, destroying our mangroves without considering the environmental impact that it will have. Under Mark Golden-led administration, this is going to be a thing of the past because we will have the environment impact. But we also have to understand that we can't police ourselves. So we have to take a laser look at NEPA, the NEPA and the NRC. And we're committing to reviewing the NRCA Act to ensure that NEPA gets the independence it needs to be the watchdog and the protector of the environment. We're also going to ensure that NEPA does not have to appeal to the Minister of Environment. We see the Bengal case where, notwithstanding the decision of NEPA, an appeal was made to the Prime Minister, acting as the Minister of Environment, who reversed that decision with over 100 conditions. Under Mark Golden-led administration, there will be an independent appeal tribunal where persons can appeal to independent of the Minister of the Environment. Data, research is important to us, and so we will, through NEPA, ensure that decisions are made through in-depth research which identifies best practices. One of the things that affects us in Jamaica is that so often persons hear that we did not know that they're going to build in our community. With us, we know that the involvement and the engagement of the citizen is important in decision-making process. And it's for that reason that we are committing to ratify the Escazú Agreement. This agreement really puts power in the hand of citizens. So it says that citizens must have information about developmental projects in their communities. They must have information, they must have the access to information, but not just access to saying here it is, but access in terms of the information should be made available in a form that is easily read and understood. We also believe that under the Escazú Agreement, that the citizens should have a right in the decision-making process. So they must say how they feel about any development project that will be taking place, and access to justice. Too often we hear the outcry of persons who have an environmental issue and it either takes forever to be resolved in our court system. we are committed to implementing the Escazú Agreement so that access to justice in environmental matters will be obtained. For us in the People's National Party, we see the environment as a center around which development is going to take place. And we also understand what it means for the environment. We will also be working with our international partners because we know that Jamaica, as a small island developing state, cannot fight it alone. And that is why when Mark Golden becomes the chairman of CARICOM, he will ensure that CARICOM truly takes its place in the world in terms of negotiation. We will work with our diplomatic partners. We'll ensure that issues of climate justice, loss and damage are brought to the fore. And those are just some of the things that the People's National Party will advance in terms of protecting the environment.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we thank all three senators who have helped us curate, I think, a very interesting final wrap on today's discussion around opportunities for young people, violence prevention, and environmental resilience. As long as you can spell, you can dispel the rumor, the myth, and the lie that we don't have any plans, and they don't know what the People's National Party is presenting as a credible option for government. Not only will you be able to spell your way through our Mission Jamaica Love, you will always properly, you will also be able to identify measurable and precise outputs that you can hold us accountable to delivering. Please, a round of applause for all of our speakers, presenters, and panelists this evening that have helped to guide our understanding of Mission Jamaica Love.